Let's have some fun today and make a slip for this antique pocket knife I put together yesterday. Coming right up. Hello everybody, and thanks for coming back for another video. This is Dave. Glad you joined me out here in the shop this morning. Today I'm going to make a slip, a custom pocket slip for this one-of-a-kind pocket knife that I put together yesterday. So I found a piece of leather I like. It's not very big, but it's plenty big enough to make a slip. This is very old leather I've had around for years and years, and I used to have a big huge roll of it, and this is all I have left. But I think it's going to be nice. It's already pre-dyed, and I think it'll make a nice slip. And I'm going to do this a little bit different from any slips I've made in the past. This one I'm going to line or try lining it with some material. I do have some red felt, but I found this, and it's really soft on this side and kind of smoother on this side. It is very thin and shears. You can see through it. But I'm going to try and glue some of that material on the inside of the slip, and I think it'll not only look good, but it'll help protect the knife more. And I'm going to try to glue it down with some of this. This is 3M Super 77, very old can, as you can tell by the rust on it and everything, but I tried it and it still sprays. I used to use the Super 90 a lot, but that stuff's kind of hard to get a hold of. I'm not sure if they still make this product anymore, but I use this for putting a headliner in my truck and using it as the adhesive for the headliner material, and it worked really well. But like I said, the 90, if you can get it, it's a lot better. It's a lot stronger. But I think it'll be fine for this application if I don't get too much glue and it goes through the material. That's a problem that I might run into, so it's a little bit risky. We'll see how it works out today. And also today I'm going to be trying out my new branding iron. I've never used it on leather, so we'll see how well it works on that. Hopefully that turns out. I've got plans for a little bit of decoration. So I already cut out a cardboard template for the slip, and I think it's going to work okay. Yeah, hopefully the knife will fit in it okay and everything. So I'm going to use this template, mark out my leather and get it cut. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, to start off, I'm just going to trace this out with some chalk. And this one's going to be on the back side. Yeah, I think that'll work. This I want right up to the edge. And then where my stitching goes, I'm going to cut it a little bit inside that line so it's not showing out on the edge. Trim a little bit right here and here. Here. There we have it. Close enough for government work. Okay, before I glue these on, I had the plans to put this concho right here on the front of this slip. And I want this bolt head to be underneath it. So before I glue the material on, I need to figure out where I want to put this concho. And I'm just going to eyeball it here. That looks pretty good right there. And then I'll just press down to mark where that head is. Now you can see it made a nice impression. And then I'll take a hole punch. This side should work fine. That's pretty good. And then I think what I'm going to do, so there's no chance of that bolt head sticking up, I'm just going to take my little homemade ball peen punch. Let's try this. There we go. That looks pretty good, I think. Yeah, I like that. And then, let's see. I guess I'll go ahead and put this on now and then just work around it when I go to do the finishing touches on the leather. Should put a little Loctite on that too, but I'll just get it really snug. That should do it. There we have it. All right, we'll get her oriented. There. Yeah, I'll just work around it. Okay, now we can glue this side. Gets glued down to there. And that gets glued to that side. Now too on the back of this side, because it won't be laying very flat once I get them put together. So my brand, let's see. We'll put it right smack dab in the middle. Like right about there, I guess. Get my chalk. And that'll help me a little bit. Get my propane torch here. And we'll see how well this operation goes. I'm going to use that board I used before to check the temperature. Not hot enough. It's getting there. That's hot enough now. Here goes nothing. Well, I didn't get my orientation very good. I'm gonna find a place to set this to cool down. Well, it's definitely marked. It's a little bit crooked, but it's almost like I did that on purpose. I didn't. That was an accident. But at least I got it fairly well centered. It did pretty good. I have the door open because it's a nice day. So ventilation shouldn't be a problem. You're supposed to do both sides and then let it tack up. And then stick them together. Should be plenty of glue. Yeah, and then after you use this stuff, you want to hold the can upside down and spray until no more glue is coming out. That's why this can is like really old and it still works. It's because I do that every time. But it's good stuff. All right, so it's pretty aggressively tacky. Oops, sorry. I thought I was rolling and I didn't have the camera going. So, yeah, I've got these stuck together now. Okay, and I just sanded that a little bit right up here because it'll be hard to do once I get it stuck together. Get them lined up. There we go, that's pretty good. It would be really good to stitch this right here, but I'm just going to rely on the glue. if I had a sewing machine that could sew that thick leather, I would definitely stitch that. But I think the glue, it's good glue. I think it'll hold up. It's not like I'm going to be carrying this every day and using it. So I'm going to go ahead and sand all these edges now. Yeah, if I was going to be actually using this in my pocket, I probably wouldn't have put the concho on there. It makes it a lot thicker. But it's basically just a storage pouch for me. So I'll take my edge beveler now. I have a tool that marks the edge, but I'm just going to do it that way on this one. And then we'll start it right about here. Yeah, that came out pretty nice. Very nice and even. There's all my holes marked. So now I'll take an eraser and erase my pencil line. Don't need it anymore. There we go. Now I'm going to drill those holes. That's what I've been doing for years. I used to try and double stitch using those, but it's really hard to get both the needles through. So I just use the prick punches there to mark it where I want my holes, and then I drill them. And I'm going to use a 3/32 bit. You probably don't need one that big, but it'll go easier on my hands pulling these needles through with the 3/32. You get the idea. Let me get all these holes drilled and I'll be right back. Okay, it is time to do some stitching. So I'm gonna grab a couple of needles. There's an old needle I made many decades ago. I use upholstery needles. They're not pointy. It's not needed when you pre-drill the holes like that. There's one. And then there's one. And then I use sail twine. I always use sail twine. I have black and this brown color, and I'm going to use the brown color. I think that'll look nice. So to pick the right length, so you don't run out, I go around like this. And I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 times the length of the stitching, plus I'll give it a little bit of extra just because I don't want to run out. And then we thread a needle on each bitter end of the sail twine. This is wax impregnated twine and it lasts forever. You can kind of squeeze it and get it flat, and then it fits through the needle okay, like that. I don't know if I'm even showing this on camera. And there we have one. Go around here to the other end, and I'll kind of flatten it out a little bit. And see if we can't get it through there the first time. I'm struggling today, folks. My hands aren't cooperating today. Okay, and then we'll start right here, pull it through to about halfway, the halfway point right there. There we go. And then I always double stitch, double it up on the very first one. Go through twice, just for a little extra strength. Yeah, I used to have a benchtop drill press that was dedicated just for doing this kind of work, drilling the holes in the leather. But since I moved and downsized everything, I don't have room for 2 drill presses. So there it is, how we start it. Like I said, normally I wouldn't drill holes that big, but I might not have to pull out my pliers to pull the needles through with the holes being that big. It'll be all right. So there's our start, and we just continue on around through here, and then I pull it over, lay this needle right there, pull, and then pull them nice and tight. And then here, pull this one over, lay that needle right in there. And pull it tight. And that wax really conforms to it. It keeps it from the stitches from loosening back up again once you pull them tight. Kind of holds its shape there, you know. Yeah, I'm glad I went with the larger size holes. It's making this go a whole lot easier. And I don't have to pull out my pliers to pull the needles through. So that's always nice. Goes a little bit faster that way. Oh, we don't want you in there. And I'll just continue on around and we'll come back for the next step. Be right back. So I decided to turn the camera back on because I'm on the last few stitches, and that way you can see how I end these and tie it off. When you double stitch like this, a lot of people just trim them off after they double it on the ends, but I like to tie it, and I'll show you how I do that. It's really easy. It does show on the back side, but I just like the extra security. Hopefully you can see all this on camera. So there's my last stitch. So I'm going to go through one more time here on the front. There we go. So it's doubled up just like I started here, doubled. Now it's doubled here. And then this top one right here, I just take it through underneath that stitch. And then I stick the needle through and then pull it nice and tight like that. And then trim it off. I had quite a bit left over. Normally I go like 3 times the length, but I went 4 plus a little bit just to be on the safe side, because I really didn't want to run out. I have run out before. And then on this one right here, I go under this stitch, the second one down. It's really tight. Slip it under there, pull it through, and then pull it like this, and then pull it tight. And then trim it off. And then I give it just a little tappy tap. And so there it is so far. Normally I use my homemade leather conditioner right here, which is just food grade beeswax and mineral oil, heated up, melted together. And it works great for cutting boards, finish on cutting boards. It also works great on leather to waterproof it. But I'm just going to put some polish on this. I'm going to use some brown. But before I do that, I'm going to tape this off so I don't get any polish on it. And then I don't have to try and clean it later. And I'm just going to put a little masking tape around it. Oh, see, is that you? There we go. I'll just be real careful not to get any polish on my red material there. Okay, folks, this slip is now officially done. I thought it came out pretty decent. I'm no expert leather worker, that's for sure. You can probably tell, so go easy on me in the comments if you're a leather worker. But yeah, I've had no formal training in leather work. I'm just kind of self-taught. I was kind of forced into it in a way because back when I was making custom knives, I had a guy that was making sheaths for me, and he was actually a saddle maker, and he did phenomenal work. but his prices kept going up and up and up. And in turn, I had to pass those costs on to my customers. And it got to the point where I felt like I was charging them too much for the knives because I had to pay for the sheaths. So I started making my own. I do have a family member, a cousin, that is a professional leather worker. She is phenomenal. I mean, she does the most beautiful leather work you've ever seen. She is a real true blue pro at it. And unfortunately, she doesn't live close enough by where I can get with her and learn some tips and tricks. Of course, she has all the best of the equipment to work with leather. But yeah, for just some basic tools and everything, this is what we came up with. I'm real happy with the logo. This first time trying it on leather, I thought it came out great. I can see it very well. And it's a little crooked. If I didn't tell you it was an accident, you might think I did that on purpose. But yeah, I think I like it. Now let's do the big test. After all, this is what we did it for. Here's our knife, and here's our slip. And I'm going to give it a little squeeze to open it up. And there we go. Yeah, it came out kind of like I pictured it. No surprises. So I want to thank y'all for hanging out with me in the shop today while we worked on this, made this fun project. I hope you enjoyed it. You found it entertaining anyway. It's Friday, so I hope everybody's going to have a great weekend this weekend. And you'll come back and join me on Monday for another episode of the Grab Bag series. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Really love hearing from you. This is Dave. See you in the next one. So I'm about to let...